At some point in our lives, a food item brings many nostalgic memories. It does not only reveal the individual's identity, but also its culture and background. As someone who was born and raised in the Philippines, I am no exception to this statement. One of those food items that brings me back to where I came from is a Filipino noodle dish called pancit. More specifically, pancit palabok. The noodles to us Filipinos symbolize a long-lasting life. It originally came from a Chinese merchant during the Spanish colonization, and over time became a popular noodle dish at Chinese food hawkers that could be conveniently ordered as takeout food. Pancit in the Philippine Hokkien language is originally spelled as pian-isit and translate into something conveniently cooked. It began to spread from the capital to other urban and rural areas of the country, influencing the dish with its native grown ingredients, thus giving birth to other types of pancits: canton, bihon, palabok, and more. Since childhood, my favorite among all the various pancits would be pancit palabok. Pancit is so common in the Philippines that all parties and festivities would be incomplete without it. Pancit bihon is one of the most recognizable Filipino stir-fry noodles in the country. The noodles are made from rice noodles that include sliced pork or chicken, soy sauce, and various other vegetables such as green beans and carrots. Pancit Canton uses yellow wheat noodles with ingredients such as pork, beef, or seafood, mixed with soy sauce and oyster sauce. For most pancits, you may use a calamansi citrus fruit, a hybrid between a citrus and a macrocarpa, to make the dish a little bit sourer. Among all the pancits that I have tasted, I have always returned to my all-time dish, palabok. There's just that nostalgic feeling whenever I get to eat this dish. Well, I think I know why it is in the first place. In my early years of childhood, it was the first noodle dish that I've ever come to taste at a fast food restaurant called Jollibee. My parents specifically ordered this food so that it would be easier for me to chew. As a result, I began to fall in love with this dish and soon after craved its delicate textures. Palabok also uses rice noodles like the ones used on bihons, as it provides a springy, slippery, and chewy texture. The thick orange sauce that is laid on top of the noodles includes small shrimps, spring onions, some sliced boiled eggs, and crushed chicharron, fried pork rind. I personally like to squeeze one calamansi citrus fruit on top of the orange sauce, just to give a slight hint of sourness as you mix the ingredients on the dish all together. It truly is delectable to look at. With a mixture of different spices, consuming the noodles becomes rich and flavorful with each bite. Eating this dish never fails to make me happy, and I have always shared it with another person whenever I get to eat palabok. I have seen pancits in fiestas and parties, and is without a doubt an iconic food that is well known throughout the entire country. In such a joyous occasion, pancit is a dish that brings joy and happiness, and it is what makes this noodle cuisine so diverse in my country. In each regions of the Philippines, they have their own unique pancit recipe. The simplicity of the noodle recipe makes it so easy to create a new dish out of various native grown ingredients, thus adding variety to the mix of pancits. To me, it is interesting that such a simple dish creates so much connection with other people, and to not see this noodle cuisine in a glamorous festival, or even a birthday party, I would instantly think that it would be rather bizarre to not see it on such occasions. Although it is not always necessary to have it, I have become accustomed to seeing it at every celebration. At the end of every party, leftover pancit will be handed out to family members and friends, so they could eat it as a snack or even as a main meal from morning until evening. Filipino families are known for their bountiful arrays of culinary delights, so each cuisine prepared are worth at least more than 20 people, depending on the event. All that I have said until now have been memories that I continuously reminisce for almost 5 years. Having to migrate into the United States, I have not been able to eat palabok the way I used to eat it with my Filipino community. I do, however, get to eat palabok on special occasions with my only family here in the States. So, I still get to enjoy it, but not as much as when we were back at home with our close friends and relatives. I do expect to come back home soon, so that I can recapture those nostalgic memories from years ago. Once I return home, palabok would be the first Filipino cuisine served in front of me at the dining table. Pancit, a traditional Filipino noodle cuisine brought by a Chinese merchant that later became a popular takeout food at Chinese food hawkers. As the dish proliferated the country, it evolved into different varieties of pancits as it incorporated different traditions of locally grown ingredients. This resulted in the creation of unique variations of pancits from each region of the Philippines. Reminiscing the taste, texture, and image of palabok, it always makes me think about my birthplace. Despite migrating to another country, my family and I continue to make Filipino cuisines so that we would not forget our origins. Some of the dishes that we now make are influenced by our American traditions. Yet, we never let it hinder us in recreating some of the Filipino cuisines as we improvise and transform the recipe. Even if it is slightly different from what we're used to eating, what matters is the intent and purpose of how we cook it.